Hi there everybody, my name is Kate and welcome to my channel, Trinergy Awakens Naturally. So please forgive me, I'm at the end of my workday and it's relevant because something happened while I was in my workday that I was asked to share because it was a lovely demonstration of many things. The natural world is my constant teacher, I love it, and it's amusing sometimes. Today it was quite amusing after the what just happened here passed. So to give you some idea of what's happening here, I work on a farm. I am a sidewalker. I volunteer at a farm where I do equine therapy with people. I participate in those lessons with them. I'm not the therapist. I just kind of keep kids from falling off the horse, right? Most of what I do though over there is not so much the lessons as it is the horse care. That's my primary angle when I'm there, is to scoop doo-doo. That's pretty much my job, because that's what I prefer to do. I like to be with the horses directly, where it's just kind of hanging out, and chilling. I'm there scooping, and I love being outside, and I just like being in the horse's vibe, etc. Whereas in the classes, it's a lot more structured, and it's a lot more serious, if you will, to keep my eye on exactly what's happening with the student and the horse and my participation in that. Whereas out in the paddocks, it's just kind of, I'm doing doo-doo. There's not a whole lot to think about here, and I get to, hug the horses and just be around them and talk to them, chill with them, and it's a much more casual atmosphere. So that's what I spend most of my time doing when I'm at the barn that I participate with. And so we have a bachelor herd. There are 3 male horses that they don't really get along with anybody else. Our mixed herd, they're really too dominant for that, and they kind of beat others up. So they live in a bachelor pad on their own. They live in a paddock by themselves. And this is a herd. The rest of the kids live in a separate dry lot, a little bit, down the road from them. So anyway, these guys are not mean. They're not nasty. It's just that they don't do well because they're all very dominant horses. They like to take the dominant lead. Interestingly enough, however, alphas are generally females in the horse world. So alpha females are the ones that usually will take care of the herd and mama keeps it in check, kind of thing. And then she might have a sergeant or something, or a number one that is the male. But generally speaking, it's the alpha is a female in herd dynamics. So for whatever reason, these dudes do their bachelor thing, and so, but I had never had an opportunity, because I don't do as much of the lesson side of things as I do the horse care and, generalized just horse stuff, independent of the programs. I had never had an opportunity to walk with one of them that I did today. So I've never walked in a lesson with him. I've never had to walk him from his paddock to the barn or barn back. None of that kind of thing. I always see him in his element when he's in the bachelor herd or he's in the barn. I'm there doing a lot of stuff, and I see these horses. How I'm not interacting with them all during lessons. I don't do lessons that often, so I see them when they're coming and going. But our main amount of time is always spent with me just chilling, just scooping, doing my thing, singing, listening to my music or my podcast or whatever I'm doing. But it's low stress, and it's low voltage, low expectation. I don't need them to do anything at all. I don't ask them to do anything at all except move away from the gate when I'm trying to come in and move away from the gate when I'm trying to get out, and that's it. And they're very respectful of that. I've never had any problem. Well, today I have to keep things going on Friday. That's part of what my job is on Fridays, is the horse management, make sure the horses are brought in and out and the tack is up and all the stuff, the logistics of putting on lessons all morning long on Friday. So I'm there, and I realize, we don't have the person who's supposed to go get this one guy. We need to go get him. And so they say, okay, no problem, go get him. And I didn't realize that he's special. Once he gets outside of his bachelor pad, he's special. He's special anyway, and I knew that he was a little bit moody and that things had been a little bit tight with him for the last couple of weeks. There's a lot of horses, so it's hard to keep up with everybody's moods. However, I knew he's in the alpha herd for a reason. He's a little dominant, and he's a retired military horse, so he's very used to his life being a certain way. And he likes things to go his way. So, and he's the largest in the whole entire herd, of all the horses that we have. So he's got power and he's got willpower on top of it. And he's already exhibited that he doesn't really play well with the main herd. So, you know, he comes with the special kid kind of, you know, moniker. However, like I said, I've never had any interaction with this horse ever that was bad. He does nip sometimes. You know, all of them will get a little cheeky sometimes, but I never had any reason to ask him to do something that he didn't want to do. And anytime that I was in a lesson that he was being long-lined or being walked or something, it wasn't me that was doing it. So if he was giving some pushback, it was to whomever, and I wasn't paying attention because I got a kid that I'm, you know, responsible for helping keep safe, you know, so hadn't really had any brush up with that. Well, it's time to go get, you know, Master Sergeant Link is his name. Go get retired Master Sergeant Link and bring him in. Well, no problem, and we're bonding, we're having a nice, you know, I'm the eye booger monster queen, you know, like eye boogers just bother me, and it's real windy out right now, so he has like his big goopy face, and I'm there trying to wipe off his face, and we have a few minutes, so I like to, you know, say, hey, how are you, you know, I gotta go in for a lesson, because moving them is not the issue, it's just I've never moved him. Until today, his regular person just wasn't there. So anyway, I'm there wiping his eye boogies, and we're bonding, and I think, okay, cool, he knows who I am. Of course, he's seen me a million times. We've, you know, done some grooming stuff here, and he respects me, I respect him, we're good. And he does respect me, generally speaking, in the dynamic that he knows me. In the dynamic that he knows me is me coming into his paddock and doing the cleaning and never asking anything of him, except to move away from the gate, which usually hasn't ever been any kind of a problem. So today when I went in, excuse me, this guy is really slow. All right, pardon me, I see what you're doing. Thank you. Pardon me, pardon me. He's trying to get over there, and I'm trying to get over here. We're trying to both give each other space to do that. Thank you. So anyway, I get there, and I get him all haltered up and ready to go, and no problem on any of it, right? Until we go, I put him out, you know, let him out of the gate and close the gate behind me, and there's 3 different locks on this gate because of him. I didn't know that he was the master illusionist and escape artist. I had no idea that he was the one. I just know there's 3 different locks, and we were told, you know, in my training originally that make sure you get all 3 locked every time. And so I was doing so, and when I turned around to do that, he dove. We've had a lot of snow recently, and the snow started to melt, and there was this little tiny weak area of grass, you know, that grass left over. He was really grubbing, but he dove for it because he could see it, you know, amidst the snow that was melting. He dove for it, and I'm quickly running into crisis management mode because I'm thinking, oh no, you know, this isn't good. When horses start diving, you know, it can be really problematic, with this herd anyway, to get them interested in doing something else, especially if they know they're getting ready to go work, you know, that they're not going to be lounging around anymore. They're going to be at least an hour to an hour and a half of, you know, working, as it were. So he dove, and I thought, crap, you know, okay, I've got to close the locks on this gate. I've only got one of them secured, and they all 3 have to be secured. So I'm, you know, trying to mitigate in my mind, okay, what's the least obnoxious choice that I can make here to let him continue to go for the dive, or snatch his head up right quick and skip the lock, because the lock was going to take me a minute, the way that he was angled and the way that I was angled. I needed a helper monkey and, you know, arms that were 3 feet longer than they are. So, you know, it was clear to me that you're gonna have to sacrifice something that's gonna be. Well, the lesson in that, Kate, was, well, make a choice, and I did. I sacrificed letting him. I figured, okay, he'll hit some grass and then we'll move on, you know, because we have places to go. And I've never had a problem with him, so he'll mind me. Yeah, right. The deal with that is that he is a dominant horse, or a male horse, right? He's dominant in his masculinity, if you will, if you excuse me, parlay that into human terms. imagine he's divine masculine, right? And he does respect me as divine feminine. Metaphysically, we're talking about this now, that he understood what was going on. He understood what I was asking of him, and he understood that when he got an opportunity to test my ability to challenge his authority as the dominant one, that he was going to do that, and he did. And because I was not choosing as well as I could, I didn't feel comfortable allowing the gate to go without the second or third, whatever it was, the locks to be secured the way that I had been asked long ago for them to be secured. He knew he was taking the opportunity for someone that had never led him before or done any kind of interaction with him like that. He knew, because he's a bit of an opportunist, and I did not know that about him and never observed that behavior, and no one had let me in on that. So I had a very different image of him in my mind than what he actually demonstrates when he's outside of his bachelor pad. He can get a little bit shaky, and he can take advantage of the lesser, the divine female, if you will, in this metaphysical understanding. That's kind of the way it is on Earth right now, that we have a lot of masculine do energy, and the divine feminine, the nurturer, the builder, etc., has been overpowered. And I'm not talking about gender specific, I'm talking about the energy specifically, not necessarily how it's bagged up in a body, but you do see quite a bit of actual male domination, right, over vulnerable populations, period, and women for quite some time as engendered, or gendered, so have been considered a vulnerable population. So, but back to the metaphysics of it, we got outside of his paddock and he dives for the grass. I let him do so to just secure the gate, and then it's went to hell in a handbasket right after that, because I could feel and sense the shift of it's going where I thought it might, that he didn't get enough. It wasn't enough for him to be satisfied with getting some grass, kind of an unauthorized thing. They're not allowed to do that. They're not supposed to do that. It's rude and it's unauthorized. We are not allowed to do that with them unless it's a conscious stop. We don't want to be training into horses or people. We don't want it trained into the system where it's okay for you to just dive for what you want to and jeopardize whoever it is that is leading you to where you're needing to be right now. Not to mention, it's rude, and they're put on a diet, and that's just a whole behavioral thing, as well as no, this is a strictly monitored system, and that ain't part of it, so please don't allow it. Well, anyway, he did, and he didn't get enough of that grass. He wants more grass, and so every time I was working with him to start correcting the behavior, is to stop them every couple of feet, back them up, let them know that no, I'm gonna need to move into the divine masculine, right? I'm going to need to move into the alpha now. I know that you tested me briefly and that you became alpha, or that you took your alpha moment and went ahead and got what you wanted to out of this. You got your, smash and grab, your dine and dash. However, no. And unfortunately, the circumstances from all the snow we've had recently, a couple feet, it's slushy, it's starting to melt, it's slushy, it's slippery, it's muddy, and I'm trying to then start navigating, oh my god, okay, we're going down this hill, it's sloshy, it's snotty, it's sloppy, it's messy, it's muddy, and it's slippery, and so I'm trying to find my footing so that I don't slip and get walked on, and I'm also simultaneously looking to make sure that he has a safe place, that he can walk and he's not going to slip, and he's got his eye on the next grass patch, which I can see all of this happening, and I'm thinking, this is probably not going to go quite the way that I expected it to, darn. And it didn't, so it kind of did and it kind of didn't, but he wasn't taking the correction well, because the correction wasn't coming across very well, and so even though I was moving out of my mode of, oh, this is, a really great relationship, we have this good, cool symbiosis going and everything, when I'm in there to get him for a class, it moves into something that needs to be more, I'm now the alpha and come with me, and then I drop my beans with that by making something else the priority that he established immediately. I'm going to be real dominant right here and do this, and I'm not really going to let it go, because I'm looking for my next opportunity while she's busy worrying about her footing. which was a priority, I'm going to go ahead and start really planning my next escape, where I'm going to go and get some more grass, because his priority was very different than mine. His priority was, I don't care why you came in here, and it didn't get established that we had something more important to do, then my agenda now is more important for me to do, and I don't care what you're doing, because you leading me is highly irrelevant at this point. Watch me. And he snatched and started to run away. And so I caught a hold of his halter, and popped the rope and said no. And he turned his head into me, which is a real sign of disrespect, that, invading my space. He's got a huge head, intimidation, bullying, if you will. He's known for this, and it doesn't make me dislike him at all. It makes me aware of what people were talking about from a first-hand experience now, rather than just that second-hand, knowledge of it. I actually saw it and experienced it, witnessed it. That's the dominance of this very large horse, who is the dominant over the entire herd. If he had his chance to be in the herd with everybody else, he'd be kicking it very differently, and so would the alpha female that handles the other herd with a great deal of kindness and gentleness, and doesn't whip out that real aggressive stuff very often, because she doesn't need to. She leads with a little more kindness and civility than he does. But his herd of 3 is very mannerly, and it's very kind with one another. They don't have to get into too much, because when he needs to establish something, he establishes early and he establishes hard. So it's just a difference in the style. But anyway, what ended up happening is that he ran away from me. He put his head into me, and I kind of, because I did not aggressively thump him or flick him or just pop him in his jowls to say no, NFW, that's not okay. That's the level that he takes. He does not take correction from the lead. He's a military horse, and I'm sure that they train them very differently, and not terribly close to the natural horsemanship, which I prefer, a more collaborative thing. However, I can't have a collaborative, warm, squishy, female, divine feminine, divine mother experience with a masculine, a divine masculine, a masculine horse, or a dominant, however you want to look at it. Doesn't matter man or woman, male or female, if we're thinking about it metaphysically. A dominant being that doesn't want to have a collaborative effort is not going to do that, and they absolutely will take every opportunity that they want to and that they can. Opportunistic, if they are leaning towards that, they will take that, and they will, because they have a different agenda. I don't care what you're trying to do with your collaborative effort. I'm about the grass, I'm about getting what I want, and I don't care what your angle is. And there are situations where there's other horses that they're happy to go to class. They don't mind, or if they would rather be doing something else, they will at least cooperatively go, and they're not real big into diving with the grass, because they understand the drill. The expectation is that we walk from here to there. We have manners, and we do this in a very polite and genteel way, and we don't make a big ass out of ourselves or make a big stink or anything. There's no need to, because you will be rewarded when you're done. But when you think about it metaphysically, or how that plays into the human dynamic, humans that don't want to work collaboratively, whether they're male, female, or not in their gender, it doesn't matter. It's that masculine. When the masculine is in its more negative qualities, it's overbearing, it's dominant, it's I can do this, I'm overpowering, I'm aggressive, I'm manipulative, etc. And the female in the upside down is weak and unable, is not creative, is not nurturing, etc. So these are the not so positive attributes, and we all have both. So I'm not saying men are bad and women are good. We have women that are out there running hard in their masculine behavior and just making things really confusing for all of us. And we definitely have masculine men out there who are running in their female energy and confusing others around them as well. So I mean, we have a lot of confusion about gender and divine masculine, divine feminine, what that energy means when it's out of balance within us, no matter what gender we are. So anyway, back to the horse. Master Sergeant Link decided he was going to be doing his own drill, and once he got that little glint, I saw the shift in his eyes, and I thought, okay, it's over now, it's really over. Once I saw the glint in his eye of, oh cool, yeah, I've broken away for the first time, and I've just figured out that, yeah, I'm on that now, that yeah, she's got no way she's going to be able to hold me, which nobody could. He's probably at least 1,500 pounds. He's huge, he's tall, he's a big guy, and he's very strong. with a very healthy background in, you know, being strong and very well disciplined. And so if he doesn't want to be held, he's not going to be held. And I'm not about to try to hang on to the rope, you know, to try to get him to stop and ski behind him in this mud and break my whole entire body just to, you know, somehow try to attempt to overcome him and get him to get, you know, find his senses about him that, no, I'm the one in charge. Clearly I'm not. So I defer early in those cases where it's a safety factor, you know. So I let go of the rope and just thought, okay, you know, universe, show me what I'm supposed to do with this. Link, what would you like me to do with this? You know, clearly you're not interested in doing what I'm doing. However, the expectation is that you're going to be doing what you need to be doing. You're on the schedule. I didn't create the schedule. However, I'm here to move this system forward. And clearly, you're not wishing to be a part of that. However, you know, at a bare minimum, whether you do the class or not is irrelevant at this point. You're not, you know, a wild dog or something that's allowed to just run on the property anywhere you want to and stroll back home. You're not a stray cat. You know, that's a no-go. You can't do that. And so watching him, just standing there, watching him for a few minutes and trying to decide what's the best tactic to go with this. And about this time that I walk up to him and grab the rope and start to do, you know, some correction, he gets the glit in his eye of, yeah, no, I'm out, boop, and off he goes. Well, it starts to catch the attention of other people, you know, thank goodness, because, you know, you don't want to have just one person trying to catch an ornery horse. So, you know, many people is good because eventually they come around usually. So anyway, these other people come, you know, the trainer comes and other people on the farm, other people that I work with, they come and they're trying to catch him, and he takes his time. You know, they go get food and they're looking for bribery. Basically, we're looking for ways to, it's slippery, it's snotty, it's muddy. We don't want him to hurt himself or anyone else. We have other people on this farm that have nothing to do with our operation. It's a big farm and there's several different businesses there doing all kinds of different farm stuff, and there's people that have nothing to do with this operation happening, you know, or going around us, and they cannot be involved in this because he's out of control. So essentially something that went from, this was just a matter of not understanding what I was dealing with and understanding the management that it was going to take straight from the beginning and knowing all the factors, etc. Not taking any shame away from making a bad decision. I made the best decision that I could with the information that I had, which is lock all 3 gates, and, you know, that'll be your priority between the two. Now I understand your priority is different now, Kate, because he's the one that's the master escape artist, so the other 2 do not. So if you can only get 1 done, perfect. Keep him from doing what he ultimately spun that all the way up into. However, it was born out of not seeing him for who he is outside of his paddock, outside of a lesson, and outside of understanding the need to really pony up, as it were, to really fire it up and be incredibly, not dominant necessarily as in dominating over him, but establishing very quickly and very early that I'm the alpha and you're going to come with me and this is the way we're doing this, you know, and you don't get a vote since you are not very cooperative. Sometimes people have to be given a very narrow range of choices, as in you can come with me this direction or you can come with me with this direction, but you're coming this direction, or horses, whomever. Sometimes situations, the choices have to be narrowed down to really engender the best behavior that could possibly be had. And without having all the factors on board of understanding that situation exactly, it set up the perfect opportunity for me to see how it goes from 0 to 60 in a matter of about 2 minutes. That just went right south. And fortunately, I did not feel any sense of anxiety or, oh my God, you know, this is getting ready to be awful. I didn't feel any of that. What I felt was, this is going to need to play itself out, and it's not a mistake, Kate. You're never anywhere where there's a mistake happening. No one is. So this is a fairly large demonstration, and other people are experiencing it differently. However, nobody's losing their mind, which is good. So why don't you just stand back and watch this and get the lesson in it, that know who and what you're playing with. If you are dealing with, you know, a horse, a person, whatever it is, a system that is known to be dominant, learn the skill of deal with that dominance, and also learn that people, horses, animals, whatever it is different in the different elements in which you see them. you will see this horse work his lessons. He's very noble and he's a very honorable horse. He's a great horse in many ways, most ways. That's one of his, less lovely characteristics, is to dive for grass. However, it's certainly not the most obnoxious thing that a horse could do. So, he's, most of the time, he's very chill and laid back. But because I'd never seen him in that slice of his life, doesn't mean that it didn't exist. And because I wasn't aware of it, now because I've seen it, would have been great to be able to prevent it. However, the beautiful part of it is that now that you've seen that, Kate, you understand, and you understand even more how it is that when people are demonstrating dominant behaviors, they're taking the smash and grab opportunity, they're, opportunistic bottom feeding, even at the micro level. The minute I saw him starting to eyeball the grass would have been ideally, and it would be in the future, that we're not popping the lock on that second and third. We're not going to do those, because the minute that he would even be looking away from me and not eyes forward and ready to move on is already a correction of, nope, we're going to have to risk the gate for a second to get that correction, which establishes early that, no, I'm on this. I'm aware of what you're doing, whatever you're thinking about doing. If you're going to, go sideways with it, we're going to have a little chat about this. And so, being aware of those things before they snowball. And that was a very small snowball. Spirit's really great, sets up little opportunities like that for me all the time, that this is a mini thing that could be a maximum disaster. I've seen those turn into some very horrific experiences with horses darting off, hurting people, getting hit by cars. I mean, all kinds of stuff. So several different occasions of that. And so this was a very minor experience that showed me how important it is to know who you're dealing with. And if you don't, sometimes you're not even going to know somebody right off the bat. However, know what you're dealing with. And if you don't, watch very carefully, keep your eye on that ball. Don't get distracted with stuff that may or may not be a problem, and if all of that blows up and becomes a disaster of some kind, learn something from that. Go with the after action review. I went back to several people and said, what did I need to know about him? What did I need to do differently with him? What in this experience needs to change? Because I don't want that to be happening ever again on my watch. I don't want it to happen on anybody's, but I definitely don't want it to be happening on my watch. What can I do better? The after action review needs to take a look at what was not the best choice that I made, what choice could I have made that's better, and what will I do in the future, and how will I mitigate that happening again? And if I stop somewhere to go, oh, I can't believe how stupid I was, why didn't I do this, why didn't I do that, then it's going to keep me in the shame and the yucky and the all these terrible things, feeling like a dum-dum, feeling like I don't know anything about horses, or I don't know, I should, the whole meltdown that humans go into, that happens sometimes whenever we come from a background of being shamed a lot, or told we're stupid, or treated like we're dumb, or that we've made dumb decisions, etc. Taking that whole component out of it, and working with people who are very kind and don't offer that crap as a whole, that's just not part of how they operate there, which is why I love it. That to go back and say, okay, that wasn't the greatest choice that I made there, the priority that I made there wasn't the greatest. What can I do in the future? And all of the people, the trainer, several trainers, and one of the people that leads the horses a lot, and deals with them in terms of moving them around and doing some groundwork with them, talk to her, and just talk to several people and ask, how can I make that better? It actually improves my confidence, makes me feel better about the next time. I don't have to shy away from him, that I'm afraid of him now. No, he's not afraid of him. It's to go in there and know, because the same horse that's very gentlemanly, very kind, and very expressive, loving, we have third eye to third eye conversation sometimes, and scratching his face, and he's a beautiful soul. However, he's very opportunistic and will take a chance to get what he wants, which is what happens with a lot of humans. But it doesn't mean that overall he's a horrible horse, or that I have to, develop a fear of him now because he didn't do what I wanted him to do, or that I didn't understand, or I think, oh no, I've seen him now and what he's really like. Well, no, what he's really like whenever he's put in that position. So the key for you, Kate, is to mitigate all those opportunities. It doesn't mean that he won't still try to go for grass. Springtime, we'll see. it doesn't mean that he won't try it. It means that no need to assume that he's going to do that every time. No need to assume that he's a horrible animal now. I was wrong about him, that he really does this. No need to throw the whole baby out with the bathwater, either with him or myself, to believe that I'm just, I can't possibly, somebody else will have to do that now, or that he's just a terrible horse. Neither one of those things is true. If he were consistently doing all kinds of things that made it, really, really stressful or impossible to manage his behavior from, one place to the other, then he would need a whole lot more management than what I could give him. However, that's not what was happening. And so, that translates metaphysically and into human being experience, that if I'm dealing with someone that needs a whole lot of me having to take corrective action to, really help rein that in of, what did you just say? Or what did you do? Or, did you lie to me? Did you thieve something from me? What are you doing behind my back or something? If I have to be doing a whole lot of that, that's a whole lot of mitigation stuff that, no, Link wouldn't be in our program if he needed high management of his behavior. He wouldn't be in our program because it's not appropriate for what we're about. Doesn't mean that, a human that's not appropriate for my life because we're not on the same angle, or, I'm not a big fan of thievery, lying, cheating, stealing, stuff like that. That's not my thing. I'm not into it. However, it doesn't mean that I can go out and just shoot all those people that are. It means that I have respect for the fact that my integrity allows me to live my life the way that I live it. And it also tells me that I have to allow other people. Doesn't mean I have to allow them to thieve from me, or that I put my stamp of approval on it. However, putting my judgment, my stank, and my hate on it really is unnecessary, because it's better for me to pull all my judgment and my opinion about it and keep busy with myself and make sure that I'm cutting away any of the liars, cheaters, thieves, etc., the pirating, pillaging people. Keep those people away from me by just staying focused on what is true, and what is most appropriate for me, which is to stand in my authenticity and muscle it up into, I'm the alpha in this situation, and get real divine masculine if I need to, where I need to, because I do. I can't just stand around believing I'm divine feminine. I ride in my feminine almost exclusively most of the time, because I appreciate a more nurturing, collaborative effort. However, being able to fire it up and go, absolutely not, nope, joop, and put my foot right up in it is necessary. If I'm imbalanced, then I'm going to get killed trying to move a horse. So it's there's many translations and metaphysical understandings for me in that. It was quite a moment to 3131 to be given that gift, and I'm really grateful to the natural world is constantly expressing itself to me and showing me, because I ask for it to come that way. It's very easy for me to see patterns in nature and to get my messages from nature. However, a lot of different ways will show us the way to go if we're willing to really take that introspective look at ourselves and get those after action reviews without taking on all the shame and the dump from other people of how stupid could you be, all of that. So anyway, I hope that that's been helpful to you in some way, and I hope that you enjoy your day no matter what part of the day you're in. And remember to get within your skin, because your divine is absolutely fine. It can help you manage yourself and train yourself to learn how to deal with those creepy situations that run up on us, because we're going to come across those situations that we're unfamiliar with. It happens, and sometimes they don't go smoothly, or they don't go well, or they go kind of bad, moderately bad, whatever it is. However, if we can stay calm and in ourselves and in our own presence and in our authentic ability to, I can manage this, and then we can at least keep it from being a complete and total disaster more than what we feel like it already is. So get within, because you're divine. It is absolutely fine, and it can do that every single time. Good luck as you train that part of you. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.